And howdy folks, it's Ben94Z here again today, and I've got another tutorial for you all. And in this one I'll be showing you guys pretty much how to optimize your 3D meshes and objects in Blender. So firstly, this could be your own model, or it could be a model you've found from the internet that you'd like to edit or optimize for a game engine or something. So I went ahead to this site called blendswap.com and I browsed the library and I looked for a reasonable object with a lot of detail, which I can show you how to take that detail out. And if you read the description here, I don't know why the guy put it this way, but anyway, it's pretty funny. And it can contain over 9,000 Suzannes, and Suzanne is, let me open up Blender. Let me see. How many Suzannes is that? Let's add a Suzanne monkey. And so we've got like 500 faces. So quite a few vertices there. 500. How many was it again? By 9,000. Oh, jeez. 9,000 by 500. 4 million. Wow. Okay, this is really. Well, I found the model I want to optimize, because this is a really small model, and in a game engine it would only be like that big to the player or whatever. So let's go ahead and download this. First of all, you're going to have to register your account, just so you know, if you want to use BlendSwap. And he's going on about textures here too. So keep in mind, when you optimize your mesh, if it contained textures, your textures will pretty much lose their values, and you're going to have to retexture it. So let's go ahead and download this. I've actually got one of these USBs myself, which is funny. Let me pull that out while it downloads. Where was it? It's in my bag. Here it is. One of my very old USBs from high school. Oops. There it is. Nice reference. So this is downloading. I recently switched from my Ethernet cable to Wi-Fi, so my internet's a little bit slower now. Please forgive me. Alright, once your zip package is open, we now have our blend file here, which we can open. And I may as well close my old blend file. Yes. And okay, that was nowhere near as many Suzannes as what this guy proclaimed. But anyways, so here's our object, and there's a few ways you can go about optimizing a mesh. The one easiest method is to decimate your mesh, and you just sort of toggle this ratio down. You might want to work in numbers. Say there's like 200,000 tries, so what's the end? Okay, so we can work in even numbers here. 0.12. And we can click apply here. Oh no, the guy was right. He does have that many Suzannes. We can... Actually, I may as well Control Z that. Delete this plane. I even added the... Oh wow, look at that. Nice. Alright. For something like this, you see you've got a subsurf modifier here. You can just turn that off. How many do we have here? Alright, that seems fairly reasonable. You can optimize around here. For something like this, you could get away with using the Decimate tool and going 0.12. Probably too much, maybe 0.4. Seems reasonable. Let's try 0.2. Just beware, like, this is a really tiny object, and the more, after applying this, you'll see how many tries you're left with. And you can select your mesh with the L key on the keyboard, and it will display how many faces, tries at the top here. So 187, that's a lot for a really small object like this. So I'm going to try and bring that down further. Let's go Decimate 0.05. Too much. 0.1. And as you can see, I'm just sort of destroying my mesh at this point. 0.15. That's a lot. Let's apply that again. Unsubdivide. Unsubdivide iterations. 2. We'll go 2 first. Let's see. So we got 250 faces now. Alright. And now we can try that Decimate tool again and triangulate it. So 250. We can divide this by 5 and it might work, but it's probably better if we divided it by 4. So let's go 0.25. Apply. And we've also triangulated this. Let's press T and make sure you click remove doubles and make sure you click recalculate. And if it's recalculated in the wrong direction, make sure you go, where was it again? In edit mode, go remove doubles, shading / UVs. If it's not facing the right direction, you can go flip direction. There was a way to determine in Blender which way the faces were facing. I forgot the key term for that. Anyways, once you've imported, you'll know if you need to flip your mesh or not. And usually there's a clear indication through your 3D software or Blender. We want to use Blender because it's free. Alright, so now we've reduced this quite a bit, probably a 1/10. Let's have a look at this. Alright. this seems really simple to optimize as it's a sort of primitive shape. What we would do here is simply go into Vertex Mode and select all the edges. 1 and 2, and that was 3, the third in, so 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, and we do the same for the other side, holding shift. I think it was that one. Press C. Oh, that's funny, it wraps around from the bottom there. Okay, that's okay. We'll leave that detail. Select that one. Select this one. This one. And select these last ones here. This is the manual way to do it, which is always the best way to do it if you're wondering. You get complete control. It does take a lot longer, but when you get to your texturing stage, things like metal, you can get away with just putting a material, shiny material on that, and then it's just reflective and it appears like metal. But something that's textured, say this part or the material here, fabric, you know, you're not going to be able to just drag a material onto that and make it look good being optimized. You still want to texture things. There and there. There and there. Oops. Wrong one. And there. See. See. There it is. And you can select the inside if you want, if there's extra detail, but what I'm going to do is just press H on the keyboard, press L on this object, or you can press A if it's a loose object, and we just press X and delete the vertices here and go Alt H. Now we've revealed what we want to keep of this mesh. So I believe these are joined, F. These are joined, F. Let's just go ahead into F wireframe by pressing Z again. And there seems to be the bend, so we'll put the bend details in first so we don't get ourselves confused. And then we build this, F, build this, oh. Looks like we don't require that vertice, so we're just gonna have to go ahead and delete that. FA, recalculate. All right, now we've optimized this part of the mesh, and we've left out the thickness because we actually have an awesome modifier called solidify. Click solidify, and you can change the thickness here, and just click apply. Oops. I think I want my thickness a bit over. And click apply. There you go. select this edge loop, change this to normal, I don't know, local, and then we shift that up a bit. Let's do the same thing with this edge loop here and that one. And you might find this that you have to shift things in order for them to look appealing. So we got that, and let's check how many faces that is. So that's 60 tries, which is good. You know, you can probably go to face mode and select these bent halves and go shade smooth. Does that look? Doesn't really look any better. Shaded smooth. Yeah, shade smooth, fine. So that's optimized. That's optimized. I don't know what I'd really do for this. Oh, jeez. Or what? How they built this? So this is 3D. 3D detail they've added. What we can do here is pretty much just go over it, like trace it. So click there, go shift cube, scale the cube down, go back to normal or local. Let's try and get that on the right angle to begin with. Scale ZZ to switch from the global Z axis or the Z axis of the object itself. You might have to click Z twice on the keyboard. Oops, click. Yep. Alright. So you might be guessing, what am I doing here? Okay. What I'm doing is I'm removing all this detail because this object is going to appear so small in the scene. I'm just going to have this as a plain mesh and delete this. May as well go into Z, wireframe, and doesn't have to be perfect, just has to be fairly on point. Grab ZZ, get into the right coordinate, and here we go. We found our first bend. You want to follow the active curves of the mesh. You don't have to follow it too accurately, just accurate enough. Remember, we're supposed to be optimizing here and not redoing things we shouldn't be doing. We can bend this and go extrude like so. I can go grab Y, nope, Z. Yep. So straighten this up a bit. Make sure when you're tracing sort of like this that you're rotating the faces to where they'll be heading next. Sorry, E on the keypad. Let's rotate that. Extrude. Here's the tricky part where we've got to get this to sort of loop around. I'll just select the edge loop of these faces and press G to grab. Let's go into edge mode and get this back aligned so it doesn't look too wonky. Go back into face mode, extrude, rotate, oops, rotate, is it X? No, is it Z? No, it must be Y. Oh, just fine. Yeah, you're doing it from the user angle. So because we're on a funky looking angle here, what you can do is select that face and extrude from that point. And you've still got your edge loops doing that, so don't stress. Your mesh is still in contact. I feel like there's way too much detail in this, but you know, for this tutorial I'm tracing, so make sure we're on the right path. And if you want to follow this tutorial, you can follow the blend swap link here and use the exact same mesh that I'm playing with here now. And we might do something similar to what we did here, or you can sort of just rotate this face in, this one in a bit more, rotate it, and sort of just sort of like match these. Go delete faces, delete faces, go to edge mode, and we're gonna recreate a face. Alt right click to select an edge loop, and once again recalculate. We go into this mode, we go W, shade smooth, and we can reapply a black material. This seems to be in cycles because this is a model for game engine like Unity or Unreal or something. I can just go to Blender render because this is more based off modeling and less so detailed renders and stuff. So reapply material. We don't want them. Cycles materials, even though they're fine after exporting. I just think they're funny to play around with. We've got no sort of specular here. when you export after going, selecting your whole mesh, going export FBX, and then you import your FBX into Unity or something, the materials you have here will pass over, and even the names of these materials will. So just go black fabric. It looks nothing like fabric, but now you know exactly what it is. Black USB fabric. Oops. And now we can go ahead and delete this. And oh, looky here. I'll just scale that up. Nope, we'll go scale Z. What's going on here? Local, normal, scale Z. Scale XX. Oop, not X, scale Y. This, and this can be all joined together now. Control J on the keyboard after shift right clicking all these objects, and metal can be removed. We can create a new metal material and even give it a quick reflectivity aspect to it, just for aesthetic purposes through Blender. And go L, select all your metal materials, USB, steel, stainless steel. Okay, so we can check how many faces we have here, and that's 198. So that's a pretty decent start to begin with. I might as well go ahead and save a copy on my desktop. And now what I'm gonna do is actually just Control S, because Blender's saying I haven't saved yet. So I think that's enough to show you guys how to actually break down your meshes, optimize them, use tools to help you along the way. I don't recommend the decimation. Is it the decimation tool? Yeah. I don't recommend using this too much, because if you look here, we've got a mesh that it barely even looks appealing when you use that method, and you're not completely optimizing either, because the computer will just go, oh, well, that's how much you want it optimized. I'm gonna go ahead and optimize it that much. Sort of disregards topology. So you might have to go through after using the decimation tool like that and sort of make sure that your meshes are looking good and not faces that are sort of inverted, where the engine will just like flicker faces and it just looks crap. Is that shaded smooth? I'm pretty sure it is. Oh. So we can go ahead into render mode here. That's not right. That's why I don't recommend using the decimation tool. Oh, there it is. Oh, I think the USB part is just in the way when I rotate it after hiding it like that. Alt H. Yeah, if you go from cycles materials to not regular materials, then you might find that, you know, it's not gonna show up in your Blender renders. So we can go back into render mode. Now it's there, you see? And I can even select this nice purple color. It used to be nice anyways. From my USB and replicate my USB. Is that right? Yeah. So we go back into solid. And look at that. Look how many edge loops are there. So something like this has had a surf modifier. So hopefully the Decimate, well, after clicking unsubdivide, you can try and see how much they actually subdivided this by. It looks like maybe 1, 2, 3, 1. Try and count like, okay, there must have been a loop there, but 1, 2. It's almost as if they did like maybe 10 on the subsurf. Okay, that's too much. 5, too much. 4. It's good to work in even numbers. 4 seems reasonable. Maybe if I tried 6. No. Can I try 8? It says, see, it indicates how much faces are here. So I really want this to be optimized. 10. Okay, let's go 4. And that seems reasonable enough, so I'm going to click apply and then check this mesh out. I might be able to do another Decimate unsubdivide 2. Now it just looks wonky and crap. 1. Yep, that looks crap. Once again, you want to go in, point out the details you want. I want this, I want this, I want to keep... Oh geez, this is kind of hard to optimize, but there are tries, so I can see tries here. So it might be a good idea to go Decimate again. Oh, sorry. Decimate again and go into collapse. Select Triangulate and go, oh, there's 500 here, and I want it to be about 200, so 0.4. Play around, see what works. Why did 0.4 seem closer to the margin? And now this has got, it's still got 1,000 faces, so you're gonna want to manually reapply your details using the same methods as what we did for this part of the mesh. You know, selecting the main corners, main edges, which aren't gonna, you know, bust up your mesh. So there's one more method you can try to optimize your mesh, and that's to actually just use a texture. And say that method would be going ahead, selecting edge loop like so, going extrude Y, scale Y 0, and on your unwrap, of course we'll need an edge loop there, but probably want it away It's a little bit off, but don't worry, I'm just trying to demonstrate something here. Mark seam, select your edge loop, unwrap it. Piece, separate selection. I think because it's tied to the mesh, it's not going to unwrap. Why you no unwrap? Oh, there it is. Okay, so what I'm saying here is you can basically get these bumps along the USB, take a photo, use a reference image from the internet, and then so we can go Kingston USB, alright, let's forget this. I'm gonna just remember how I unwrap this. I'm just gonna Control Z here. Alright, looks like that's not gonna let me Control Z, but oops. Sorry, we can go to this side and just go into what is this? Back? No. That's the, I think it's the right. Cool. So you can pretty much just Control print screen, go into where is it? GIMP, and we go File, New, OK, Control V, paste that in, and now we've got this. Oops. Sorry, I gotta name this. We've got this as a reference for our texture. So this here can be textured with this, and then you can go duplicate. Once it's all textured, once you've painted it, all that stuff, you know, use airbrushes, something like that to make it look realistic. Even take a reference of the first detailed image, that would be a lot better. We can go then filters, sorry, colors. Actually, we want to go colors, desaturate first. Select the one with the most contrast in between, average, and we go colors and levels. So now we can play with the main points of the detail. And what this is the bump map for your texture. So you've got a straight face, you've applied your texture to it, and now you've bumped that texture using Crazy Bump or GIMP, whatever you call it. And as you can see, after applying this, okay, first you want to unwrap it, then you want to go into your material, and then you want to figure out your image material, select your texture, and then you add another material, you select your bump map, and then you select normals, and then figure out how much detail you want to apply with your bump map. So those are 3 ways to optimize your 3D meshes. I hope you found this tutorial useful. Sorry I didn't finish the model in front of you guys, but I feel as though I've shown you guys exactly what you need to know to get through optimizing your 3D objects or someone else's. Thanks once again for watching this tutorial, and I'll be back again soon.